starts with you and me. But I can't just do, gotta start with being. Got problems of my own, it's gonna take something more. Like I found my heart and the flame in my core. Cause changing the world starts with me and with you. But I would deaf to the noise, so our soul hears a tune. Will I wake up inside, or will it go by in a blur? Just what it's gonna take now if I wanna change the world.
Welcome to Changing the World TV. It's CTW TV. You can find it on YouTube. And today we have special guest, Christopher Lauzon. Hi, Christopher. Thank you for finding time and having coffee with us.
Of course. Thank you.
And the purpose of this interview is just, number one, educational, because a lot of people like me love local community, Cape Cod, but does not know exactly what does your job entail? And I know you're running second time. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Senator, if you can educate us, what kind of what is the function of your job and what does it entail? And tell about yourself. We are eager to learn about you and your purposes and dreams.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a good baseline just to talk about the job and what it is. I'm running for state senator. So on Massachusetts level, the state level up in Boston, it's kind of like the federal level in Washington, D.C. You have a state house and you have a state senate. It's a little bit different as far as how it's broken down, different numbers and everything. But state house has 160 members, the state senate has 40. So I'm running to be one of those 40 state senators. And what that means is I'd be up in Boston working for the Cape and Islands District, which is Barnstable all the way to Provincetown, plus the islands of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. And I would be representing what each of those towns in the community want from the state. They're not necessarily in Boston every day of the week. They're usually up there probably 2 or 3 days a week. Rest of the time you spend in the district. And that's something I would do, certainly. I would spend a lot of time in the district talking to people in the community, business owners, just seeing what everybody wants and needs from the state. And for me, I mean, I grew up here. I've seen how it's changed in the last 35 years. I'm raising 4 kids in the community. I want them to have a good future, be able to raise their kids here if they'd like to. And right now, they wouldn't be able to do that. So we've got a real affordability problem here on the Cape and Islands. It's gotten worse over my life, and I want to make some changes that way. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of things I want to change for the better, so everyone can have a better life here. And that's what I'm going to do up in the state senate.
At this moment, as we getting closer to Election Day, which is on Tuesday, the emotions in the air are so charged. We are so divisive. And a lot of local communities like Cape Cod is fixated on federal election, and so often it's out of our control. We are here locally. We know our local leaders. We go to school locally. We're involved in businesses locally. And therefore, I believe it's so essential for us to bring our attention back to communities, to where we come from, and bring unity. And that's why when we opened Great Awakening Coffee House and started Changing the World nonprofit, our first event was Coffee with Your Rep. It was bipartisan because there are a lot of things. I come from Ukraine, and I love United States of America, and I think there is a negative force against this united now. We are so divided. And
yes.
And
yeah.
Can you speak on that
absolutely.
And bring our attention back? Because a lot of people right now fixated on the TV, and the media basically feeds on fear, feeds on divisiveness. Can you bring us back to why it's so important to be engaged in the community level?
Yes, yeah. So our local elections really are much more important even than the federal elections. Obviously, it's a presidential year. The presidential race gets most of the attention, and it's important, no doubt. President, Congress, all of that's important. But our local races, even town races, county races, state races, they're very important, has a much greater direct impact on our lives. And these are people who live in our communities. I have a small business here in Hyannis, so third-generation auto repair shop. I'm there every day. If someone wants to come see me, they can come say hello. So these local races, really, we need to focus on those because it does have a much greater impact on our lives on a day-to-day basis. And these are people generally who are in the community. They're more accessible. You can't just call up the president and have a meeting with them, but your state rep, your state senator, you can have a meeting with them, whether it's in the district or in Boston. So it's very important to pay attention locally. And most of these issues are nonpartisan, to your point about the rhetoric and the vitriol on the national level. I try to keep that out of local politics because most of the things we talk about, doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat, most of us want to go the same direction, the right direction.
We want to have strong economy. We
Yes.
want to afford having a house, an American dream, sort of speak. I'm one of the immigrants from Ukraine. I value the freedom and the fact that you can actually, if you work hard and you have determination, you're able to open up the business and things like that. With that, can you tell us a little bit about what is the why behind you running as a senator? What is the driven force, and what do you hope to accomplish? Let's imagine you win.
Yep.
What will be your first day like? What is on the agenda? What is number one step?
Number one, well, there's a lot there. So the reason I decided to run, and this is my second time, like you mentioned, for the same office. So when I decided to run the first time, it really was because I have 4 kids that I'm raising here. Like I said, I grew up on the Cape. In the direction we're going right now, they won't be able to raise their families here. They won't be able to afford a house. They won't be able to make a life here if they choose to. So that's really my focus, is trying to make it better for them and for everyone in the community. I've got skin in the game. I want it to be good for my kids, so that means I want it to be good for everyone else's kids and everyone else's families too. So that's really my priority. My focus is on, a better quality of life for everyone. Now, on a policy level, the state is spending money in a very unsustainable way in a lot of places. We have a significant migrant crisis in the state. Oh yeah, it affects everyone in the state and across the country. Of course, it's a federal problem, is the root of the cause. Without enforcing federal immigration laws, we're seeing a lot of people come into the country illegally without, the proper paperwork and everything else like you had to do as a legal immigrant. And in Massachusetts, we have policies that are driving those people into our communities. The right to shelter. Massachusetts is the only state with a right to shelter. And that's been in place for a long time, and it was intended for Massachusetts residents, primarily families, pregnant women, to make sure that they weren't out on the street. But it's been used for these new arriving migrants and really misapplied in that way. And it's cost the state over $1 billion just in housing alone in 1 year. Plus food for these people, transportation costs, healthcare costs, everything else that goes along with it. So that takes money away from our local communities, takes away from local aid. I'm on the finance committee in the town of Barnstable. We were expecting a certain amount of Chapter 70 education aid to come from the state based on previous years, and now it's come in significantly lower than what we were expecting. So it does have an effect directly on local communities. We need to refocus where the state is spending its money so that, one, more of that money stays in our local communities to begin with. I want to cut down on the amount of taxes and fees and everything else that we're paying to the state. And then two, we get additional local aid. If the money is spent smarter on Beacon Hill, we get more money coming back to our communities.
Back to our communities, that's right. Can you speak on the questions that we will have when we come in to vote, or some people already voted? And one of the questions, number one, is state auditors' authority to audit the legislator. What does it mean, and should we vote yes to that or no? There's different opinions. One of them say yes, we want to have accountability. And some people say no. What's your thoughts on question number one?
Absolutely. So I'm someone who already voted. I voted early, so I can tell you how I voted on all these questions. Question one, I voted yes, 100% yes. We need more accountability, more transparency. That's something I've talked about a lot. The state legislature in Massachusetts is notoriously non-transparent. A lot of votes that they take are behind closed doors. Freedom of Information Act requests the legislature is exempt from. So there's really a lot of stuff going on up there that the public doesn't know about. And that's not how it should be. It's the people's house. We should know what's going on up there. And the auditor has actually audited the legislature in the past. It's been over 100 years since it happened, but it has happened. The auditor does have authority to do it, in my opinion. And this question really will give her more explicit authority if we vote yes. The fact that the party leadership on Beacon Hill doesn't want it to happen tells you that it needs to happen.
Gotcha. Question number 2, elimination of MCA as high school graduation requirement. What's your thoughts on that? Because
That-
I have a student who says that he would like to eliminate it because he is a smart guy, but he has problem with the format of the test and it gives stress to students
Right,
and
right.
things like that. But on the other hand, we are in Massachusetts. We want to have high standards. We don't want to lower our standards of education. What is your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a complex issue, and I kind of went back and forth on this question myself. I voted no on it, so a no vote means you keep the requirement in place. I do think MCAS needs to be changed, but my problem is with the question itself. Taking the requirement away without having another standard in place already, I think that does affect the quality of the education. So I'm in favor of changing it, removing the MCAS requirement, but we need to have a different standard in place before that happens.
I agree with you. So keep it as it is and
Yes,
not
and
lower our standard.
develop a new standard before we get rid of MCAS.
Right, because there's no alternative developed. So we're
Right.
canceling the standards that is on place without offering the alternative to it.
Absolutely, and I understand the anxiety for some students, and it can be tough. I mean, I was one of the first classes that did have to pass it, so I'm familiar with it. And my oldest daughter just graduated high school, so she had to pass it. So I get it. It's tough for some students, and we should offer them additional help, certainly, whatever they need. But we can't get rid of a standard until we have a new one.
Gotcha. So question number 3, unionization of transportation network drivers. In fact, there were a meeting here and for a
Oh,
minute
really?
group. Yeah.
Okay.
So what's your thoughts on question number 3?
Yeah, so that one I voted no on. Unionization, I think, for that industry, a lot of people use that just as like a side job. They're not necessarily using it as a full-time thing. So if they get involved in a union, it can complicate that. Maybe the union will decide to go a direction that those individuals don't want to go. So it can affect their, what they're using that occupation for, because it is very much just like a side gig for a lot of people. So I don't think it's the right industry to be unionized. I'd be open to seeing that happen, but I did vote no. Certainly, if there's an impetus to make that happen in that industry, I think that's fine. But to me, I think it will adversely affect a lot of the people who do use ride-sharing services to make some extra money.
Right, and they say that they form unions to conduct collective bargaining regarding wages, benefits, in terms of conditions of work.
Yeah, and I mean, it really will change, if it were to pass, it will change the way those workers are classified. Right now, they're almost like private contractors. They're not like employees of Uber or Lyft or any of these other companies. So it really will change the tax structure as well and bind them to those union decisions. So that's why I voted no.
Gotcha. Question number 4, limited legalization and regulation of certain natural psychedelic substances. What's your thoughts on that?
I voted no on that. I'm certainly against drug use of any kind. Again, with 4 kids, I take a very hard line on drug use. I mean, I don't agree with the legalization of marijuana. That's something that we're dealing with in this state. It's already happened. It's not going away, but I disagreed with it when that happened. And I've seen too many people, individuals or people in their family who have, become addicted to drugs, and it's really ruined their lives or taken their lives. I know a lot of people who've lost children to, drug addiction. So, yeah, absolutely. And we have a real lack of services to deal with that here, so I don't think that legalizing more drugs is the answer in any way.
With that, I would like to give little, not commercial, but make this service available. Changing the World nonprofit meets at Great Awakening Coffee House Hyannis, and on the first Thursday of November, we will start community support group for those who are struggling with mental health, trauma, and addictions.
Oh, great.
So we will create the safe space and invite, we're not licensed medical professionals, but we will invite therapists and things like that, because the need is so huge. And every day, every month, in our community, we lose someone too young
Yes.
due to drugs, and it's a huge problem.
It is, and it's all ages, all demographics, all income levels. It affects everybody. And there is a real dearth of services down here, so it's great when community members like yourself bring people together and try to solve that. But the state needs to do a better job, too, and bring those services into the community.
And the last question, number 5, we have minimum wage for tip workers. What do you think?
I voted no on that, so there's a number of reasons for that. A lot of people don't realize, first of all, that tipped workers, if they don't make enough tips to meet the minimum wage, the employer is obligated to pay the difference. So it's a non-issue as it is. They're already guaranteed that pay if they don't get enough in tips. And all the servers I spoke to, all of the local restaurant business owners I spoke to, they're all against this question. The tipped workers, if they're doing a good job, they're making a lot more than they would make on minimum wage.
That's right. Most restaurant owners say no because they want to have control over what happens in the small business restaurant, not some
Yep.
legislation. Yeah.
Yeah, and to that point, generally I'm against statewide mandates like that, on any number of issues. But on this one specifically, it's not going to benefit anyone. It's not going to benefit the business owners who are going to have to raise prices as a result of it. It's not going to benefit the workers who are going to get less tips if it passes. So it's not a win for anybody.
And quick overview. So question number 1, state auditors authority to audit, yes. Question number 2, elimination of MCAS, no. Question number 3, unionization of Uber, Lyft, network drivers, no. Question number 4, limited legalization and regulation for certain natural psychedelic substances, no. And question number 5, minimum wage for tip workers, no. Keep it as it is right now and
Yes.
give authority to local restaurant business to figure it out. Correct? And
That is correct.
your name will be on the ballot, is it correct?
Oh, yes.
Just quickly, why do we want to vote for you? Why?
Why? Well, I kind of laid it out. My priority is making more, higher quality of life for people here, make Cape and Islands more affordable for all of us, for people raising families, for people who own local businesses. So I'm just interested in making things better for everyone. And our incumbent doesn't make himself available in the district. He's not at community events. I go here, there, and everywhere.
I see you everywhere.
Yes.
I'm so thankful. You're very available.
I try to be, yeah. And even with the kids at home and working full time, I've made myself very available all across the district, all the way out to Provincetown. I get over to the islands whenever I can. And I'll really continue that as state senator. That's important to me. The legislative part of it is important, obviously. But like I said, you're only up there 3 days a week usually. So the rest of the time you spend in the district making connections. I'm going to host regular office hours in the district in all different towns so people can come to me with their problems. I really want to be available to everyone in the district and actually solve problems for people. I'm used to going to work and fixing something to get paid, so I'm going to bring that to the State House as well.
Can we dream together what will be ideal Cape Cod, dream Cape Cod looks like for your children? What would you, as a result of, if you would be voted in, you would look back and said, okay, my efforts, my sacrifices weren't in vain. I did my
Yeah. I mean, an affordable and clean and safe Cape and Islands is what we want for everyone. To be able to find the housing that you need, to be able to work to afford your lifestyle, to be safe from things like drug addiction and crime, and really to have a clean environment as well. We didn't talk about it, but the offshore wind industry is a big issue right now. Finding ways to develop renewable energy without impacting the environment as much as possible. So, clean, safe, and affordable.
And so that will be your role to impact the legal side of it, right?
Yeah, no, there's state policies, on all of those things that I think need to be adjusted, and we can do that and it'll make a difference. I'm not saying any of it's going to be easy, but we need to start. There's a lot of state policies that have been in place for a long time. They haven't worked out. Maybe they were well-intentioned, like housing policies, but it's time to change. They haven't worked. We need a change.
Gotcha. Now, there is state representative and senator. So most people do understand state representative represents our interests and in the state house.
Yep.
And you will be basically impacting the laws that will be created, right?
Yeah, so the reps and the senators, it's really a very similar thing, but the state Senate district is a bigger district. So, the Cape and Islands Senate district contains several state representative districts. So, like Steve Exaros is the incumbent in the 5th Barnstable district. He's actually my state representative because I live in Marston's Mills. So, yes, I already did. Yes. So he's inside my district. Kip Diggs in the 2nd Barnstable, that district is completely within the Cape and Islands district. The 1st Barnstable district is inside my district. And also the 4th Barnstable district, which is the Outer Cape. And then the islands are part of the Barnstable, Dukes, and Nantucket state rep district. So all of those are inside of my Senate district.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, and so it's really important, too, to have a strong relationship with those people so we can affect, positive change for the whole district. So I can work with Steve Exaros, I can work with Kip Diggs, whoever's in those offices. I, as the state senator, can work with them to get results for their districts, which will benefit the entire Cape and Islands district.
So you guys do work together?
Oh, yeah, we work together. They're 2 separate chambers in the State House. So I got to walk down the hall to go see Steve or Kip or whoever else.
Okay, that's great to know because our regular folks, we don't really understand how it comes down, what it looks like. And
Right. Yeah, it is, they're very similar jobs. It's just there's fewer senators because we cover more territory. But it's very critical that the state senator works with the state representatives to get things done.
Would you please give your information to people in case if they have a question or concern, if they want to meet with you one-on-one? Do you have an email, website, and how people can contact you?
Absolutely. So my website is votelauzon.com. It's vote, Lauzon.com. You can contact me through there with an email. You can email me directly. It's info@votelauzon.com. Or you certainly can give me a call or a text, 774-251-9195. I can't guarantee I'll answer when you call, but I will give you a call back.
And your last wishes and maybe concerns or hopes with this new upcoming election that we will have this Tuesday?
Yeah, so I'm just excited for it to be over, to be honest with you, so we can get past all the rhetoric and really get some things done for people. And my focus is completely local. I'll work with the federal delegation, whoever gets elected. We have our federal senator election, we have congressman election, obviously the president. So whoever's in those offices, I'm going to work with them in whatever capacity I need to get things done for the Cape and Islands.
That's right. It's our privilege, it's our right, it's our responsibility to vote. So vote, vote, vote.
Yes.
Make your voice known.
Absolutely.
Thank you so very much, Mr.
Thank
Christopher,
you.
for your time. And we hope to make a difference on Cape Cod and Islands and make it affordable and happy places for our children.
Yes, for everybody. We can make a difference every day. So 1 cup of coffee at a time,
One
right?
cup of coffee at a time, one heart at a time. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Cause changing the world starts with me and with you, but are we deaf to the noise? So our soul hears a tune. Will I wake up inside or will it go by in a blur? Just what it's gonna take now if I wanna change the world.